Hi guys, my name is Andreas and welcome back to La Cocina de Andreas. Now today we're going to be making tortilla de patata. Now tortilla de patata it's a very popular food in Spain. It's actually one of the most popular you'll find in all the country. It's eaten all over. You'll find it as an appetizer or as a tapa in the bars and the cafes, or in some Spanish homes it'll be eaten as a light dinner. Now it can also be eaten in some places as a tortilla sandwich. What'll happen is they'll take like a baguette, they'll cut it in half, and then they'll put a whole piece of tortilla, or maybe like a half piece of tortilla in the actual sandwich, and they'll eat it like that. Now, tortilla is actually not that hard to make. So to make a tortilla, what you're gonna need is you're gonna need 6 eggs. You're gonna need a medium to small onion. You're gonna need to cut it very finely, as you see here. You're gonna need to get 5 potatoes about this size, and you're gonna need to peel them and then cut them to about that thin. You're gonna need salt, and you're gonna need a 1/4 cup of olive oil. Now, to begin, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take your onions, you're going to want to mix it in with your potatoes. So we're just going to pour that in there. Grab my spoon here. You're just going to want to mix that around, because when you pour it into the pan, you want to make sure that you don't have too much onion or too much potato in one bite, because that's where a lot of the flavor comes from, is that mix of the two, along with the eggs and the rest of it. So you really want to make sure you mix this well. You don't want to have, as I said, too much in one piece. That seems about good, as you can see. Try not to drop your spoon. And next, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to turn on your stove, and you're going to want to turn it on to a low heat. Now, you don't want to go too high, because you're not frying these, you're poaching them. You're going to poach them for 20 minutes. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take your olive oil, you're going to want to spread it all the way around. Make sure it's even. There we go. That looks good. Great. You're going to want to take your potatoes and your onions. You're going to want to remember, you're working with oil, so you got to be careful. You're going to want to very carefully add these in. Okay, just scoop them in there. As I said, make sure that the onions and the potatoes are well mixed. You don't want to have too much of one in one space. All right, spread it around flat. There we go. And great. All right. And as I said, you're going to just spread it flat, make sure it cooks evenly. And you're going to want to come back in about 20 minutes when it's all ready. The final part that's going to come with the tortilla, now this is going to happen later, but it's going to be the flip. And so what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to, when you're flipping it, you're going to want to put something on top. Now, since my mom makes tortillas all the time, she has a special double pan. However, normally in Spain, what you'll do is you'll just do it with a plate, put it on top. What you're going to want to do is you're going to want to put this on top. You're going to want to flip it. However, since tortilla itself, you want to cook with a top on, I'm just going to leave this on. As I said, just get a plate, or if you have a cover for your pan, use that. But you're just going to want to leave one of those on while it cooks. And as I said, we'll come back in 20 minutes when we're getting ready to add the rest in. Alright guys, and we're back. Now, it's time to check on the food. So, the way you know that it's done is if you take a fork and you just push it through, you should have no resistance from the potatoes. It should just slide right through, as you can see. No effort. All right, let's get that off. So what you're gonna want to do is I'm just gonna put this here. You're gonna want to take your pan. I'm gonna put it here. Remember to always turn off the stove. Never forget that. All right, you're just gonna want to take a large spoon and just scoop all your potatoes out and get them all into a nice big bowl. Be careful not to lose any onion like I did. All right. And so what we're going to do is, while you're scooping, you got to make sure that you have your 6 eggs nice and whipped. Now I've already done it here, but just crack them into a bowl and whip them all up. Got to make sure that they're all good. Now this can take a couple minutes, so you're going to have to excuse me, but be a little careful because there is oil in here that's been cooking. So make sure you don't get any of that on your countertop, because it can be very hot. Oil's always something you have to be careful with. Right, this will be the last scoop. Great. Put that back there. So the next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take your eggs, clean that up. You're going to want to take your eggs, as I said, make sure they're nice and whipped. I've already done this, but for you, just make sure you crack your 6 eggs into a bowl. Whip them well. You're going to want to pour them into your mixture. Make sure you spread it evenly. And when you're dealing with potatoes, you gotta remember potatoes love salt. So you're gonna wanna add a big pinch of salt. So for me, I'm gonna go in for seconds because especially in my family, we love salt. There we go. And then just grab a fork and just make sure you kind of mix it around so it's not, as I said earlier, too much in one spot because there's so much flavor in this. You know, you wanna make sure it's all evenly spread. And we'll come back once it's all mixed and ready to move on to the next step. All right, now that it's nice and mixed up, we're gonna get ready to put it back in the pan. So, bring it over here. Now you're gonna wanna make sure you put the pan on medium this time. All right, be careful to watch out for splashing, obviously, so you're gonna wanna pour nice and slow. All right. There we go. Great. Again, just flatten it out so it cooks evenly. And, all right. And you're gonna wanna take your cover that you used before and you're just gonna wanna put it right back on. You're gonna wanna let it sit like this for 10 minutes. And we'll be back once that's all good. All right, now it's time to flip. So what you're gonna wanna do is you're gonna wanna take off the top. You wanna check it. That's about what it should be looking like. You know, just pinch the sides. Make sure everything's in there. All right, great. So when you're gonna flip, now as I said earlier, we have kind of a double pan thing. If you don't, then what you can just use a plate. You're gonna put that on top. But what you're gonna wanna do, is you're gonna wanna take it, you're gonna wanna walk over to a sink, because obviously you're working with oil. When you flip it, you wanna make sure nothing comes out. And you're just gonna give it a flip. And that's all. And then you're gonna bring it back. Now if you're using a plate, you're just gonna take the plate and just slip it back into the pan. And look at that golden brown. Looks really good. And you're just gonna kind of leave it as is for another couple minutes. And we'll be back when everything's ready. All right, and now it should be, yep, it's all good. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna wanna obviously turn off the heat. And you're just gonna wanna get your plate where you're putting it. And you're gonna wanna very carefully just kind of shake it out. And let it slide on. And there you go. Center that up a bit. And there you go. There is a classic Spanish tortilla de patata. Enjoy.